Shihab Rattansi joins us live from Washington, D.C. Shihab, so the U.S. envoy to the UN says the U.S. strikes have degraded Iran's capacity to produce a nuclear weapon, but there seems to be an intelligence leak that now suggests otherwise, Shihab.
Well, it's not necessarily contradictory to that assessment, especially since the intelligence community is, in the view of the intelligence community, there is no decision to make a nuclear weapon in Iran. But yes, there are clearly figures in Washington who are very keen to leak a very preliminary Defense Intelligence Agency bombing assessment, which says that the strikes on Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan failed to destroy the core components of the nuclear program, set it back by only a few months. Iran had moved batches of highly enriched uranium before the strikes. Actually, J.D. Vance had already said that, the vice president, and that some centrifuges still existed. We got this response from the White House to that. The alleged assessment is flat out wrong, was classified top secret, was leaked to CNN, but also the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post now, by an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community. The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean President Trump and discredit the brave fighter pilots who conducted a perfectly executed mission to obliterate Iran's nuclear program. Everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their targets. Total obliteration. We have got one more bit of information just now from the Wall Street Journal. A senior administration official confirmed the report's existence, but said it hadn't risen to the level of being shared with the Defense Department's top leaders, and multiple members of Congress, including full committees, have seen or have access to the report. So I guess when we're trying to figure out where this all came from, we have a better idea. Look, the information war clearly is still underway right now. The neocons in both, well, certainly in the Republican Party are rather muted. They want to show support for Donald Trump, but clearly they've been pushing for regime change all this time. In the Democratic Party, we have the neoconservatives who want regime change and war in Iran. So look, this is possibly the first moment we're seeing now post-bombing of the information landscape and how this information will be used and what effect it might have on Donald Trump going forward.
All right, to Al Jazeera, Shihab Rattansi, live for us here in Washington. Shihab, for now, thank you. Let's go to Tawhid Asadi, who's in the Iranian capital, Tehran. So we've seen thousands of Iranians coming out to celebrate. Tawhid, tell us about the mood on the streets and what people are saying there.
Well, actually, what we see on the ground is a mixture of different sentiments across the country, as we saw a demonstration of different Iranian people in the cities, including in the capital. We saw that they are trying to express their sort of happiness, and a national pride is out there in this regard, seeing that their country is finally out of this already highly escalated situation to an unprecedented level. And now this is a sense of relief that we can see among the people. As we know previously, a huge, or at least a considerable part of the population living in the capital, Tehran, decided to evacuate after President Trump and other Israeli officials called the residents of Tehran to evacuate the city. And now things are starting to get back to normal, and we see the ordinary citizens having their normal lives. And also added to that is a further layer regarding the anxieties and concerns that exist among the people. Of course, they're just looking at the historical background about Israelis and how they treat with this idea of ceasefire. They have already a long record of breaching, actually, different ceasefires when it comes to Gaza. And now in Tehran and Iran, there is this concern whether Israelis are going to be committed to this ceasefire or not. Also, we see that things are getting back to normal and people are trying to express a sense of actually relief regarding the recent developments. We know that over the past 12 days, it was not just the nuclear facilities or military sites being targeted by the Israeli strikes, but the very ordinary citizens in their lives were all targeted, were all affected as a result of these strikes, leaving several women and children and actually very civilian casualties as a result of these strikes that we saw, and that caused a huge amount of concern among the people. Right now, it seems that things are getting back to normal, but still there is this anxiety whether this normal situation is going to be out there for a long time or not. And on that, we have to keep in mind that this is just a point at which they decided to stop the confrontation. But there is a more profound confrontation, more profound hostility indeed between the two sides. Whether it's going to be translated into further confrontations or not is something that we have to keep waiting to see what comes next.
Tauhid Asadi, live for us here in Tehran. Tauhid, thank you.